Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Today we have a brand new set of great stories for you to enjoy. Subscribe to our channel if you're new here, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Sit comfortably. Here we go. Sorry for doing my job. Okay, so a little context. I was a machine operator for a while, driving positracks, skid steers, excavators for a civil landscaping company. Long story short, my job on this day was to fill in dirt behind the gutters and driveways of this brand new subdivision. It's just blank blocks with roads and drains and nothing else but driveways. It's the middle stage of the job, so everyone's doing things twice or three times, and everyone's waiting on someone else to do something. Now I'm working away in my machine, filling the blocks, when this old concreter bloke comes speeding over to me, pulls his car up in front of my moving machine like a crazy person, and gets screaming, "The F are you doing, you effing idiot P? You can't get dirt on the concrete, we just cleaned it, you F-wit!" Figuring he's just not quite having a great day, I said nicely, "Sorry mate, I've got to put 300 tons of dirt along this street, flush with your gutters. On a windy day like today, I'm not going to be able to do it without getting a little dirt on your concrete." He's having none of it. "Don't get effing dirt on the concrete, idiot!" he yells as he slides his fat butt back into the cab of his car. I'm like, crap, I have to get this done because it's literally the foundation of every other thing that has to be built here. I can't not do this job, so I keep packing dirt in, getting maybe a handful on the concrete every 50 meters or so. Old mate hasn't even got back to his side of the site yet when I see him throw his car sideways and around straight back towards me. F me. Here we go again. He comes over, jumps out of his car again, and goes, "F's sake, are you deaf or just effing stupid?" Mate, I'm sorry. I can't avoid this. You'll have to come back and do it again. It's part and parcel of construction, mate. Don't need to be a P about it. Without saying anything, he drives off with his finger out the window and comes back over with the job's foreman, the client, and my boss. I see this convoy and I'm like, oh, for F's sake, not this bloke's crap again. Essentially, they rock up to my section and see my point and tell him to do it again. He won't let it go. He's caused such a ruckus with the foreman that the only bloke who can be bothered really sticking up for me is my boss. Eventually, they all leave, and this old dude's like, "If I see you doing this crap again, I'm gonna skin you alive." At this point, I'm over this Suki old P. I've had to do some of my tasks 5 times or more because of other people. It's what happens. So he leaves. I advance another 100 meters to my next block. When I get there, on top of the area I'm meant to fill is a huge pile of this old dude's form working tools. Planks, stakes, braces, etc. So now I can't do my work unless I move it, and I can't move his stuff anywhere but onto the concrete. So I start moving his stuff and placing it as neatly as I can by hand onto a driveway. Guess what? He's seen me doing this and has hit Mach 2 coming down to see me again. He gets to me, throws his hard hat at my machine, and starts screaming about how he's told me 3 times not to get crap on his concrete. Mate, those are your tools. Don't effing matter, idiot. What did I effing say? Don't effing matter, idiot. What did I effing say? Don't put crap on the concrete. So he's off to see the foreman again and trying to get me sacked to no avail. At this point, he goes off again. I'm like, F it. I've tried being nice. You won't take your crap. I can't move it somewhere without being abused by you, and now you're not even here to deal with it. I feel like I can't effing do my job with the bloke in my face, so what did I do? I put all his crap in the bucket of my machine and built it into a hill under 30 tons of dirt. My offsides even drove machines over to block the old guy's vision for a minute while I sent his tools to Hades. Hopefully that taught him not to just be a C to people for no reason. And our next story. Old guy harasses young woman, gets fired. This happened a couple years ago. I'm a field technician. I work on proprietary equipment. I got a service call to work on a small piece of equipment. I walk in and introduce myself to the guy at the counter. My contact is upstairs, but the machine is just off the entrance. She comes down and introduces herself and explains the issues. They're simple and won't take too much time to resolve. Enter smarmy salesman. SS is an older guy that's dripping with the snake oil salesman vibe. SS starts chatting with young woman, polite and cordial at first, Then he blurts out, "What I want to know is how you got those pants on." YW immediately turns red, and then SS yells, "Ha ha, she's blushing." Meanwhile, I'm working on the machine. My blood's boiling. But I was torn on what to do. I'm a vendor technician. I was afraid that I'd lose my job if I said anything, so I finished and went over to YW and explained what I'd done and the machine is working correctly, and I leave. I put my tool bag away, I get behind the steering wheel, start the car. My conscience is screaming at me. I can't leave until I say something. I go back in, and everyone is gone. Everyone went off to do their thing, so I thought it was over, but my conscience would not let it rest. That was a Friday. Saturday and Sunday were full of what happened on Friday. On Monday, I sat down and researched the local company and their parent company. I collected several email addresses from both companies, and I wrote a very detailed explanation of who I was and what happened, sent it from my personal email address. Tuesday morning, my phone rings. It's the HR manager from the local company. He thanked me for my email. He also stated that he corroborated the story with YW, who confirmed that it happened as I stated. He then tells me that SS was fired and the whole company will be given a course on sexual harassment. He then adds, "I have an 18-year-old daughter. I never want her spoken to in that manner." I thanked him for following up with me. And our next story. Try to con me, the manager, and then demand to speak to my manager? Okay then. So I was working as the manager at a small independent cafe. I was in charge of the store and answered only to the owner, who happened to live a few blocks from the store. This day we'd been open about an hour and a half, but mornings are pretty quiet and most of our AM customers pay by card, so we only had about 150 pounds float in the till, made up exclusively of coin change and a handful of 5-pound notes. A guy comes in, orders a coffee, and pays with a 10-pound note. I ring him up, hand him his change, and as the till drawer shuts, he immediately begins to rage. "Customer, what the F is this? I gave you a 50-pound note." Me. "I'm sorry, sir, you definitely didn't. You paid 10 pounds, and this is your change." "Don't try to scam me. I know what I gave you. Give me the correct change now." "Sir, you paid with a 10-pound note." "Open the till drawer and give me the correct change now, you dumb bee." "I'm not going to do that, sir. You have the correct change already." "This is outrageous. Get me the manager now. I want to watch as they fire you." Now, people try to get extra change like this pretty regularly, either because it's a genuine mistake or because it's a scam. So the standard procedure is either to check the CCTV to prove them wrong, or if it's not clear enough, to close the till and cash it up in front of them. But because I already know there isn't a single 50-pound note in the till, I could just as easily have opened the till drawer and shown him in this instance. Technically, we have the right to call the police whenever a suspected change scam happens, though in practice neither I nor any of my assistant managers ever do this. I know that the owner, however, absolutely does, and since this guy's been so rude and demanded to speak to my manager, I guess it's a good time to comply with his request. So I put on my best service smile and walk into the back. I call the owner and say there's a situation going down. Can she please come in to help me deal with it? When she says she's on her way, I go back out front and make a point of standing as far away from the till as possible. A few minutes later, she arrives, clearly a bit PO'd at being called in, and asks the customer what's gone on. He gives his side of the story, and I explain that I'm 100% sure he paid just 10 pounds, but that since he asked to speak to my manager, would she mind cashing up the till, as I don't think he will trust me to do it. The owner walks over to the till, opens the drawer, and reveals the complete lack of any large notes. She pulls the till drawer out to show him, then turns to me and asks me to call the police to report a suspected change scam. The customer/scammer turns white as a sheet and runs out of the property, leaving his coffee and his change on the bar. And our last story for you, my friends. Housemate terminated the lease without asking, so I moved out immediately with the fridge. This happened some years ago. I was reminded of it by reading stories on here. I'd just moved to Sydney and had been living in a share house for a few months that I'd found through a flat share website. We got on okay. We'd go out to parties together, etc. Most of the stuff in the house was theirs. I only brought my fridge, and they'd just thrown theirs out, considering it replaced. I'm about to get the week's groceries and ask my housemate if she wants anything. No, she's good. I get lots of food to cook for the week and come home to find her standing awkwardly with her boyfriend. She had weird news. They decided to move out together. How exciting! Okay, so I guess that means I take over the lease? Nope. They considered themselves the last in a long line of friends who'd leased the house, and being the last to go, thought it fitting to terminate the lease. They'd notified the landlord prior to speaking to any of us. They figured I could stay with my sister. Jack was only in the country another month, and Sarah was hardly here anyway. Okay, so I didn't have a leg to stand on. Legally, I wasn't signed on the lease, so I had 3 weeks to vacate. House hunting is like a part-time job, and I already had a full-time job. No time to cook all that food, I guess. Would have been good to know before the shop. I got lucky and found a house just down the road in the same day. Nice people, good spot, and close enough that I could move my things in by hand immediately if I like. I slept in my new house that night, but I always like to think you haven't really moved in until your fridge is in. And don't worry, I had that sorted out too. The others in the house found new places quickly too, leaving the happy couple home alone. I came back to pick up a couple of loose ends 3 weeks later and got to see their fridge work around in all its slumly glory. An esky full of food floating in melted ice. The revenge was petty and small, proportionate to their actions. In all its slummy glory is a phrase I will definitely be using in the future. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.